Hello and welcome to another episode of Extra, your weekly fix of local football. On today's show, we look back at the latest results. We look ahead to the upcoming fixtures with some Grimsby Town highlights, and we address some local issues. My guest today is Tim Derrick. So Tim, for those who don't know, please tell us about your area of work.
Well, I'm a teacher by trade, but in terms of media-related work, a couple of years ago, I got the job working as Hull City's online commentator on the Tigers player. When they were in the Championship the season they got promoted, I was commentating on the vast majority of home games, did some away games as well. So yeah, I fell into sort of sports commentary that way. I now commentate on Hull City games, home games, in-stadium commentary for blind and for other supporters as well who just want additional audio for their football experience. So yeah, I do that, and I also do quite a lot of guest slots on Radio Humberside Sports Talk programme as well. Wow,
there must be some perks, coming with commentating on Hull City
on
occasion.
Yeah, I heard Matt Dean was on last week, wasn't he? Yeah, it's great. I love my pies, and we've got a whole selection of pies in the press office, press box at Hull City, so that's great. We get soup and stuff at half time. I do remember though, it's a funny story. Last season, when just before they were about to move back into the Premier League, they cut the sort of supplies for press and stuff, and the press were up in arms about it. But I think it was Steve Bruce himself who said, no, give the boys a proper meal and proper food before the game. So yeah, things in the Premier League have gone right back up to top-notch standards.
What's your assessment of Hull City's season so far then at this point?
Yeah,
up and down really.
It's more down at the moment than up. To be honest, if you look back at the form, they sort of looked at it last weekend when Match of the Day sort of did a bit of analysis on it, and Hull City have won 6 games in 2014. That's not good enough. Listen, Hull City will. I know a lot of people think that Hull City will stay up this season, and I respect their opinions. But having seen Hull City play a lot this season, I am a little bit worried, to be honest. 1 to 11 were strong. Bench were not strong. A couple of injuries. Form's not great at the moment. A couple of injuries on top of that, and we're going to really struggle, So. Yeah, Steve Bruce has got a big job on his hands, an awful lot to do.
It will be tough for the club, obviously, to stay up. Thank you.
It will.
So if we look back at the latest results then.
Hull City earned a 1-1 draw at Goodison Park on Wednesday night. Substitute Aluko came on for the visitors and scored with a right foot finish, giving them the point.
Paddy Madden scored a brace as Scunthorpe United beat Barnsley 2-1 at Oakwell. The club are currently only in relegation on goal difference. Jack McCrath's first goal for Grimsby ensured the Mariners left bottom of the table Telford with a 1-1 draw. After Tuesday's games, Grimsby dropped down to 4th place. And finally, North Ferriby are through to the first round of the FA Trophy after a convincing 6-2 win against Mickleover Sports. They now face Boston United in the first round proper. So 1-1 away from home. Hardy, is that 2 points dropped, or is this a point game for the Mariners? Bearing in mind Telford obviously are bottom of the table.
2 points dropped massively. You know what? I've said it in previous weeks about Town's record with the lower sides in the league. That's Telford now, Altrincham, Southport, Nuneaton, all points. Dover, points dropped against all of those sort of teams, and they're the games you've got to be winning if you want to get out of this league.
Yeah, Tim, we've mentioned on the show in previous weeks, Grimsby this season, they're performing against the top sides, taking 3 points. But as Hardy said, it's the teams lower in the league that they're not performing and getting the points from. Would you agree with that?
Well, I have to agree with it because statistically it's correct. But when you look at Grimsby's position at second in the table, a fair few points behind league leaders Barnet, but I have to believe that Grimsby have got enough about them this season to claw the deficit back. The problem is that they've got teams on their heels. Macclesfield are on a fantastic run at the moment. They're charging up the table. So Grimsby have got to find a balance between their form in October, November has been absolutely excellent. They've got to find a way of maintaining that over a very hectic Christmas period. A game against Lincoln coming up. I mean, these games are always difficult.
Yeah, Hardy, obviously no real break for the players. They can't sit at home and play with the presents over Christmas. They've got to they've got games thick and fast, and as you say, Macclesfield, Forest Green on the heels, and they've got to play them before Christmas, I believe. So how important are those games?
They're huge, and they've got Barnet to play twice as well. So they're the games where they need to be getting the points, catching back up, pushing towards the top of the table. And as we've seen with Grimsby over previous seasons, when they've had games in hand or they've had a busy sort of period, that's when they've messed it up. When we had the games in hand a couple of years back, there was a postponement at Macclesfield, I believe, and Town didn't capitalise on the games they had in hand. So they need to do that this year.
And obviously Scunthorpe away at Barnsley last weekend, 13th in the table, Barnsley. They've gone there and got 3 points. And like we said last week as well, things are looking up for Robins and Scunthorpe. How good is that result, Tim?
It's a fantastic result. I mean, Scunthorpe's sort of traditional or history at Barnsley is not great. And for them to go there and win the game as comprehensively as they did, it's actually interesting because a friend of mine is the CEO of Barnsley, and I tweeted him last weekend just to say, what happened there? What was that result? Because I didn't see that result coming. I thought Barnsley would beat Scunthorpe on last Saturday. However, they've got a striker in form. They've got McSheffrey playing really well. He was a good player at that level. And I think this week it's also been announced that a couple of Scunthorpe players, the Scunthorpe striker and the manager have been in the running for manager or player of the month. I think, if that's right.
Things are definitely looking up for Scunthorpe.
Yeah, it's going well.
And obviously, this week the FA Trophy draw has been made. We mentioned it earlier. Grimsby have a regional draw away at Nuneaton, and North Ferriby host Boston. So we'll address that. Firstly, Hardy, we said before the show, this regional draw at Nuneaton, how's that tie? Is it a hindrance?
Who's worked this one out? Did you do the draw, Reid? Was it you? Your geographical knowledge, poor. Just looking everywhere. Is
it a hindrance? Because obviously fans want league, they want the promotion. Now I got a bit of stick for saying a cup run isn't important. All right, the money is great, but the promotion is what majority of fans want.
Yeah, it was me that gave you that stick, I think
wasn't
it? It was me, yeah. FA Trophy is a different kettle of fish to the FA Cup. I think the fans care about the FA Cup a lot more. The financial benefits are a lot higher. The FA Trophy, I would play the fringe players. I would play some of the kids, put them in.
What about the draw itself?
The draw itself against Nuneaton could be worse, could be better. I think
could be closer.
It could be. It could be closer. Could be closer. They've got to go away and win it. They've got to go beat Nuneaton.
It's an extra fixture Hurst has to rack his brains over. Tim, that draw for North Ferriby then at home to Boston. That is a local tie, I suppose. And for a club in Conference North who also want promotion, is that a hindrance?
No, I don't think it's a hindrance. I think it's actually an exciting fixture for North Ferriby United. It's Boston not too long ago were in the league themselves. They're a decent sized team. I know they're in the same division as Ferriby at the moment, but that's going to be a cracking little fixture for North Ferriby United. And if they can get through that, then I think the FA Trophy for North Ferriby is different to Grimsby. In my opinion, it's a bigger tournament for them.
So can I get a prediction from you for those two games? Grimsby win? No?
Grimsby will win. I think Grimsby will win. North Ferriby, they'll do well to get past Boston, I think.
Hardy, we'll take your prediction. What do you think to those games?
3-1 Grimsby against Nuneaton, and I would say, it'll be 2-2 in the other one. We'll go for a goals galore there.
Let's do it. I love that. Yeah, both teams score.
Both teams score.
Yeah, I like
there
that.
We go.
Okay.
There's your racker.
So, do you think these clubs can go on a realistic FA Trophy run? Do you want them to, Reid?
I think Grimsby's manager said that he's in it to win it.
He's famously said now he's in it to win it.
In it to win it, yeah.
And if he doesn't win that or promotion, he might look like a bit of a fool.
He might look like a bit of a fool, but I don't think he's going to be concerned about that.
One or the other.
I back him, yeah. One or the other. Thank you. I think he'd prefer promotion though.
So we'll move on to this week's head-to-head challenge for myself and Hardy, and Greg's been at it again. Look what he's got for us this week.
In 30 seconds, can you name 15 Premier League players whose first name and surname start with the same letter?
Where does Greg find these questions? Greg, I hate... oh my God. I can't even think of any players whose names begin with the same letter. Absolutely terrible. What a shocking question. Where does Greg find these?
You've had a stinker there, Reid.
Absolute stinker. So before we go to the break, our half-time teaser this week is: which two teams from England's top 5 tiers of football have 11 letters or more that aren't repeated? See you after the break. Welcome back to Extra. Now the answer to that stinker of a teaser is Grimsby Town with 11 letters and AFC Wimbledon with 12 letters, and they're not repeated. You can check if you don't believe me. Coming up in the second part, we have more sports discussion with Tom and Tim, and we look ahead at the fixtures coming up this weekend. But first, here's the second part of the challenge.
In 30 seconds, can you name 15 Premier League players whose first name and surname start with the same letter?
Didier Drogba. Casey Keller. Oh, God. Wow. I don't know. It's so hard.
Well, I think Hardy struggled with that attempt as well. Just the two, was it?
I got Casey Keller though, so
Well
it makes
done,
up for it.
well done, Hardy.
Casey Keller.
So as we know, it's a pressured industry, this football like, and we look at a manager every week. And this week it's Yeovil's manager, Gary Johnson. Now, in contrast to Scunthorpe in League One, Yeovil obviously are below Scunthorpe. Their goal difference is worse, and the last result between the two was 1-1. So if we look at Scunthorpe, they had their manager sacked, and they've made a change. Yeovil have still got the same manager they started the season with.
Yeah.
So Scunthorpe made the changes, looking up. Yeovil still haven't found that winning formula, Tim. Do we get rid of Gary? Do we stick with it?
He's a fantastic manager at that level. He's a fantastic manager. I think given where they were last season and what happened to them last season, obviously they're in another season of transition. They've been up and they've been down. I mean, they went on such a superb run that sort of saw them rise all the way to the Championship. Obviously, they struggled at that level. They've come down. For me, don't get rid of Gary Johnson. I think that'd be a massive mistake. I mean, the guy's got so much knowledge and experience of players at that level. Keep him.
Do you agree, Hardy?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I think they should keep him. The club itself is on a bit of a downfall. It's a bit like Grimsby was about 10-15 years ago when they slumped from Division 1 and carried on going down. Yeovil were punching well above the weight in the Championship. The club hasn't got the finances, the ground. There are lots of different aspects that the club, they were doing miles better than anyone expected. And he was part of that. He was part of that sort of revolution and the rise up. So I would stick with him because I think the actual solidity of the club it'd be damaged if they were to get rid of him.
And that's the one thing that he does bring. I think for me, that's the one thing he offers you is the knowledge and the experience of football at that level. So yeah, no, that's a no-brainer for me. Keep him all day long.
Their current league, they've played 19, won 4, drawn 5, lost 10. So they've lost almost over half of the games at the moment. So if you look at the stats, should questions be asked by the fans?
Well, I think what they shouldn't have done is got rid of Paddy Madden when they sent him to Scunthorpe. He was the top scorer in League One. They went up to the Championship and they sold the top scorer to a League Two club.
That was a strange decision at the time. Yeah, I have to be honest. That didn't look right from where I was looking at it from. Yeah, so no, I completely agree with that. But
I can back up that fact because the current top scorer is Aaron Martin with 3 goals, and he's on loan from Coventry.
Right.
He's a centre half, I think, Aaron Martin as well.
So again, that comes back to the discussion of strikers, inform strikers that we had last week with Matt. How important are they?
They're huge. They are absolutely massive, especially in leagues like League One. We've seen Scunthorpe do it over the years. We've discussed it in previous shows where they had Billy Sharp, they had Gary Hooper, players like that. So at Yeovil, they need someone like Paddy Madden. You need someone like a Jonathan O'Beaker or Aaron Wilbraham, players that score goals.
I agree with you, but fortunately he's at Scunthorpe now, and that should hopefully, well, maybe that'll see the two sides going completely different directions. I still think Yeovil will be okay though this season.
I guess what's done is done with the strikers as far as that's concerned. So quickly, do we stick or sack Gary Johnson?
Stick.
Thanks, chaps, for that discussion. Now, clubs always want to improve revenue, and one way to do that is to improve your stadium or where you play. So in terms of Scunthorpe United and Cleethorpes Town this week, there's been stories about them improving their facilities and their stadium and the ground they play at. How important is it? I mean, we mentioned it about Grimsby Town. Tim, is it important for the likes of Scunthorpe and even lower down Cleethorpes Town?
Let's go back 10 or so years and look at what happened to Hull City. I mean, Boothry Park was my favourite. I mean, I loved going to Boothry Park. So much character, so much sort of passion and pride. I had so many happy memories there. I didn't want to leave, to be honest. But the change in Hull City over that period of time is down in no small part to the fact that they've changed the stadium.
So that has been a significant factor, has it, in Hull City's rise?
No question. I mean, one week you're playing at Boothry Park with 9,000 fans there. The very next week you're playing at the KC Stadium when it opens with 21,000 fans there. I mean, you do the math. Financially it makes huge sense, but also it's had a huge impact on the sort of fortunes of the football club on the field as well.
So Glanford Park, Hardy, do you get rid? Do you bring in do you upgrade it? What do you do?
Well, the thing is with Glanford Park, it's not actually that old. I think it was built in the late 80s, early 90s.
It's 25 years old,
yeah. So it's not particularly old, and that puts Blundell Park in a bit of a strange situation. Town obviously trying to move ground, but we're miles behind Scunthorpe. If they've already had a new ground in that time and they're looking at a new one, and I've seen the plans for the new ground they're looking for and they look brilliant. The whole infrastructure and the complex itself is amazing, and using it as a community stadium I think would be a huge boost. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. In terms of Cleethorpes Town then, obviously they play at the Linden Homes Club in Cleethorpes. Do they need to improve their ground at the moment? Obviously they are on the up, but look at the division they're in. Do they need to improve anything?
Well, if the club they obviously are serious about their rise. They've got the right sort of basis to go on and get up to even probably Conference North. So if they're doing that, they will obviously look at developing that ground, having their own ground at the Linden Home Club, and using that as a community ground perhaps.
It's the exact same principle though, isn't it? If you improve your facilities off the field, if you improve your facilities on the field, chances are that will combine together to increase your chances of either staying at one level or hopefully moving up to the next level. Just as I say, look what happened to Hull City.
Yeah, I mean, so is it a good idea right now because they've got that momentum going up through the leagues? You know, you don't want to stop that progression, you want to keep it going. So is it the right time, Hardy? Obviously promotion last season, it's going to be tough this season, as the chairman said, Dave Patterson. But do we do it now?
That's the risk they've got. Do they do it now and risk sort of stagnating the club where they stay in the same division, or do they do it now with plans looking further forward that they're going to go up and up and up, and then you'd think, wow, it was a great decision having that ground move. If that doesn't happen, it will be questioned, I think.
Yeah, just quickly, Tim, do you agree with Hardy?
I do completely. I think it's a brave move though, and I think obviously there's got to be the financial clout there to be able to make it happen. I mean, if it's a risk, then don't do it. But if you can stand it up financially, then definitely take that step because it'll have a huge impact on your club as a whole.
So if you can attract the fans to pay for the new facilities, then it's a great idea. Crack on. Yeah. Fantastic. So if we look up the upcoming fixtures this weekend for our local clubs, Hull City host West Brom. This fixture has been played 50 times with both teams winning 18. The last meeting saw Hull win 2-0. It's FA Cup action for Scunthorpe United this weekend as they host Worcester City in the second round of the FA Cup. This fixture is a stab in the dark for both sides, having never met. Eastleigh versus Grimsby is postponed this weekend due to Eastleigh's FA Cup second round commitment, giving the Mariners a weekend off. And finally, North Ferriby United travel to Hyde in the league, the Villagers winning 4 of the 5 previous meetings. So we'll address the fixtures coming up this weekend for the sides. We'll start by talking about Hull City hosting West Brom. Obviously last time it was a 2-0 win for the Tigers. Do you expect more of the same this weekend, Tim?
The last time we played West Brom, Shane Long had an absolute belting game. He was superb for City, scored, and he was just a complete thorn in their side. I think we're missing Shane Long this season, if I'm honest. I was fully in agreement with the sale when they made it. £12 million was a lot of money for him, but with hindsight, I think we'd have kept Shane Long. So against West Brom, you need to take the game to them because they'll come and they'll sit and they'll be happy with the point.
Was that an odd move, Hardy, with Shane Long? Obviously, he's only been there half a season. I mean, is he the missing link for Hull? Are they missing him? You know, that result at the weekend coming up, is it going to be a Hull win without him?
Well, I did question the sale when it first happened, and then obviously you look at the fee and you think, yeah, I can see why they did it. They've made a decent amount on him as well. But they've missed him. His work rate, his guile, the amount of effort he puts in up there, that's what I think Hull have been missing out on. They've got some of the flair players to do it. They've got Ramirez, Ben Arthur, but they need those sort of players that are going to work the socks off.
He was the missing link, really, for me. He's been the missing link for the entire season. You're right about his work rate. I mean, he was an absolute thorn in every defender's side. The last person. Well, pace is the one thing you don't want to defend against. And when you combine pace with will and determination and the willingness to go and press a defender, as he did sort of last weekend, didn't he? Against Man City, they didn't profit from it except for the Mangala. Who was it got sent off?
Mangala.
It was Mangala. Mangala sending off. So you just think to yourself, without Shane Long, I think City have struggled up front this season. They can beat West Brom at home, but a lot will depend on sort of what side he puts out and how much City press. If they press early, they can win that game.
So Scunthorpe, it's FA Cup action this weekend, a break from the league. Are the club relieved? Do they want this fixture right now? It's Worcester City. It is a stab in the dark for them as well.
Opportunity to win. Yeah. An opportunity to get a decent result as well. But there's also that other side of it where there's an opportunity of an upset, as Coventry found out in the last round. So they won't want to end up losing the game because it could affect their league season. And obviously out of the FA Cup, the chance of getting into the third round and getting a Premier League side.
I think that game's really exciting I remember when Hull City were sort of down at that level, and I was a big fan of the FA Cup. We had some amazing games, and we got beat on several occasions to non-league opposition because we didn't take them seriously enough. And it's a day out for Worcester. They're going to come. Obviously, they won at Coventry in the last round, so.
I'm sure there's a great atmosphere for both games.
Exactly. Oh yeah, there will be. Yeah, I'm sure.
Thank you. So, sorry, time has beaten us once again this week. Don't forget, you can see Extra every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock and repeated again at 1 o'clock. You can watch On the Bench on Tuesdays at 7 for all other sports discussion in the area. And we are on social media as well, Facebook and Twitter, or you can email us. So, until next week, Hardy has something to say. So, Hardy?
So the terribly sad news earlier this week of former Grimsby Town chairman Peter Fairnow's passing. So I'm starting a campaign to get the main stand at Blundell Park renamed. So it's #Peter Fairnow main stand. That's on Facebook, Twitter and all of the social media. Thank you.